Hello everyone, my name is Shivam Gupta. Except me, there are two others member in a team, Nandini Sani and Pratik Somvansi, and our topic is Node to Vec. First, I will explain what is network. So, network is defined as a flexible data structure uh, in which there are different type of entities present. So, network formulated with different data types. So, in real time, there are different and many types of network present. One example is social network. Social network helps in predicting the interest of user. The other is protein-protein interaction network, which helps in predicting the functional level of proteins. Other than these two, there are also other networks like Internet of Things, Road Network, and World Wide Web. If you can see in the diagram, the Internet of Things network, there are motor cars, desktop, cloud, and mobiles are connected to each other. So our task is to learn the node features in the network. So what are the challenges in the feature learning? The first one is it is not generalized across the task. If I am taking the example, uh, real-time example of Facebook graph, then there can be two tasks of a level prediction and to define the node level. So for these two tasks, we need to define a different model. So there is no independent model which can generalize these two tasks. The other challenge is defining an objective function. So in a network model, uh, to maintain the computational efficiency and accuracy, uh, to define for defining an objective function for these both computational efficiency and accuracy is a big challenge. The third one is supervised algorithm requires informative and independent features which increase the training time. So basically supervised algorithms work on those features which are very informative and which are relevant in the learning. So that's why supervised takes a high training time. So for solution of these challenges, we need to define a semi-supervised way to optimize the computational efficiency and which results in task independent features. Like if I have taken the example of Facebook graph in which for the two tasks we have defined the two models. Now for these two tasks there should be one model which can be generalized. So now I will present the motivation about the feature learning. The motivation of feature learning is to basically reduce from the high dimensional to low dimensional, and an embedding uh, is a mapping of mapping of a discrete variable to a one vector of continuous numbers. Embedding makes a learning task easier for models. So with the help of embeddings we can easily learn the task for any model. As I said, it helps in the reducing the dimensionality. So like I said, if you can see in the diagram in the graph, to if we want to represent this graph in the embedding, then it can be represented in one vector. So here are some related works. Uh, First one is unsupervised learning. In unsupervised learning, there are two approaches, PCA and ISOMAP, which helps in reducing the dimensionality of the data. So, but these two unsupervised approaches are having some computational and statistical performance drawbacks, and these two approaches are not good in scaling for large networks. The other method is deep walk and line. Deep walk learns d-dimensional feature representation by simulating uniform random walks, and line divides d dimension into dy by 2 dy by 2, and for one dy by 2 it follows the BFS style, and the other d by 2 it follows the DFS sampling. but the limitation of these two methods is it is not effectively cover the homophily and structural equivalence, and these two methods doesn't have any control over the explored network. um, and the third one is scriptgram model. Scriptgram model basically focus on the word optimization of word embeddings, and it optimization of word embedding with negative sampling, and it uses the objective function of stochastic gradient descent. But it also have some type of limitations, like there is no clear winning strategy for predicting the task that works across all the network. Like I have already said, we need to define a generalized task for all the model, but in this skip-gram model there is no such strategy, so it is failed to offer flexibility in sampling of nodes from a network. So the here the main part comes, which is a node to vec, which resolve all these challenges and problems. So the main idea is they have the author is designed the semi-supervised algorithm for scalable feature learning in networks. Key contribution is it basically define the flexible notion, if I am telling the unique notion for the nodes neighborhood, and it generates feature representation for each individual nodes, pair of node and edges. And in the node to vec they have used the objective function as stochastic gradient descent, and um, this provides a sampling strategy which works all the network and predicting tasks. Now from here Nandini Saini will explain the working of node to vec.
Hello everyone, I am Nandini Seni. I will explain the building of Node2Vec step by step. Firstly, we formulate the feature learning framework in which feature learning in the network is equally the solving of the maximum likelihood optimization problem. Now, the formal definition of the network is here. G is a set of vertices and edges where G can be any type of network, directed, undirected, weighted or unweighted. The mapping function defined as nodes to d-dimension feature. Here aim to learn feature for a downstream prediction task, which means utilize a pre-trained model. Here for the every source node u, we initialize the NSU, which is the network neighborhood, which is generated by sampling strategy S. Now we need to define an objective function for the optimization, which normalize the log probability of observing a network neighborhood NSU given that node features representation f of u. This is the objective function. Here we will take two standard assumption to make optimization problem tractable. Tractable means it executes in polynomial time. The assumptions are conditional independence between the network neighborhood neighborhood providing of the different nodes, and the second is the symmetry in the feature space of nodes and its network neighborhood. Node to wake is basically method is based on the skipgram architecture. It is an extension of the skipgram architecture. Skipgram architecture has issue for the non-linear network, but the node to work resolve this issue, which provides a richer notion of a neighborhood network. In the node to vec neighborhood NSU is not restricted to the just immediate neighbors. We can have different structures, depends on the sampling strategy. Now, for the sampling of a neighborhood, we will view this problem as a form of local search. Here, two types of local search. We already read the breadth first search and depth first search. Based on these two types of search, we defines two sampling strategy: breadth first sampling and depth first sampling. Here, the comparison between both these strategies defined as follows. Like in the BFS, a neighborhood network NS is restricted to the immediate neighbors of the source node U, but in the DFS, NS contains the sequentially sampled at increasing distance from the source node. Due to this property, DFS explore the large parts of the network and the BFS explore the small portion of the network. BFS has the property of the structural equivalence. It sample neighborhood based on this property. It means that it samples the similar structural roles embedded closely together. Like in the figure, U and S6 has a similar kind of structural. So for the DFS, DFS follow the homophily property. It means the if nodes are highly interconnected or belonging to the similar network communities, will be the embedded in the networkhood sample. Like in the figure, U and S1 are highly connected and belonging the same community. So the BFS from the breadth first sampling, we can infer the bridges and hubs, and it provides the microscopic view. But DFS provide the macro view of the node's neighborhood. In the DFS, here the constraint on the sample size. If we increase the sample size, the results will be the results as a high variance. Here, for the design of neighborhood sampling strategy, we will develop a flexible biased random walk which contains the benefits of the BFS and DFS sampling strategy. The random walk defined as a fixed length L for the source node U. In this distribution, pi Vx is the transitional probability between the nodes V and X, and Z is a normalizing constant. In the unweighted graph, we will initialize the transition probability equals to the 1. Here we will add here the author add one parameter, which is a search bias alpha. It defined as a second order random walk with the p and q parameters. Here dtx is defined as a distance between the source node t and the next node x. These are the hyperparameters for the random walk. First is the output dimension. Output dimension denoted is the dimension of the embedded space or the feature representation dimension. Second is the number of walks. Third is the walk length, which is the number of nodes in the each random walk. The fourth parameter is a return parameter. Return parameter controls the likelihood of immediately revisiting a node in the walk. The last one hyperparameter is a in-out parameter, which is Q. It allows the search to the differentiate between inward and outward nodes. The impact of the P and Q parameter in the node work is like if we set the high value of P, then it avoids the redundancy in the sampling. The low value of P leads to the walk to backtrack a step in the network. If we set q the value of q is more than 1, then the random walk is biased towards the nodes close to the source node. And if we set the q value is less than 1, then walk is lead to the away from the node. This is the pseudocode for the node to work. Here mainly there are three phases of node to work. First is a pre-processing to compute transitional probabilities. Second is a random walk simulation, and third is a optimization using stochastic gradient descent. For the algorithm, we will initialize these inputs like graph dimension d, walks per node r, walk length r, context size k, and return and in out parameters. The transitional probabilities compute using the second order Markov chain method. Here sampling is done using the transitional probability. Now, how to use node to vec in the embeddings. This is the a simple diagram to show the use of the node to vec. In next slides, the Pratik will explain through the experiment how will this execute. Here, we will convert node to vec in terms of word to vec, and it and the this word to vec apply using skip gram model, and embedding will happen. So the Pratik will explain node to vec in the action.
Hi, we have seen the node to vec algorithm previously, and let's see the practical implementation of the same. I'm Pratik, and let's see node to vec in action. So the problem statement we have here is to use node to vec algorithm on the formation of European football teams. Formation is how the team players uh, uh, are standing in the formation, different formations, and how they are standing. So we use that position information, and it's taken from FIFA 17 dataset, and we plan to learn the feature embeddings of the same. So the complete FIFA 17 2000 FIFA 2017 player dataset global is used, which is available on Kaggle. We use the team names, the players, and the positions of 7 different clubs. So we use this information for the algorithm node to vec, which we are going to implement. So let's see the data set graphically first, and then we'll see the data frame. So here we can see that this is a football team formation. This specific formation is of the form 4-3-3. So we have 4 defenders over here, 3 center players, and 3 forward players, and we have 1 goalkeeper here. So we can have different formations. We can have 3 defenders, 4 center players, and again 3 forward players. So we have different formations of the teams and the football positions. So we can see we have a right wing over here, left wing over here, center mid, center mid, center back, left back, and goalkeeper. So these are some positions. Let's see the data frame of the same. So we have the name of the player over here. We have club over here. We have position on which he is playing, and we have rating, which we have not used. And each team is represented as the graph which shown in the previous slide. So we have 7 teams, and we represent each of the 7 teams as a graph of the formation that they are. Each position is connected to other positions, as we have seen in the previous slide here. This center mid is connected to other 2 center mids as well as 2 center backs. So depending on the formation, the connections uh, would be done. When playing the game, each position is assigned to a player. So we can consider the position of the player as placeholder, and the player as the object where we keep in the placeholder. So let's say there are we have position left wing, so we can assign any player to this, but let's say we have assigned Cristiano Ronaldo. So these two are different entities. There are many formations as I've discussed, and some positions can be non-existent in some formations. So let's say we only have two players in the center, so there would be no center left or center right. Okay, we would have center left and center right, but we do not have center middle. Okay, so some positions can be not existent in some formations. Okay, now let's see. What we consider is we consider each team as a node. So each team name is considered as a node. Each player is considered as a node, and each position is considered as a node. So whenever we assign a specific player to a position, there will be edge between the player and the position. So for each team and club, we create a separate graph. So let's say we have Real Madrid as team. So we'll create a separate graph of the specific team. So we have 7 teams and we'll have 7 different graphs. Each player is connected to his team node. So the player would be connected to team node, which is logical as the player is playing for the specific team. He will be also connected to his teammate nodes, like according to the formation, he'd be connected to the teammates who play near to him, and he'd be connected to the teammate positions as well. So the positions of his teammates, which he is playing with in the close proximity, and also he'll be connected to his own position. So we'll apply the node to vec on the resulting graph. But before that, we need to connect two different the positions between two different teams. Actually, all the teams. First, let's see the output. So we have printed edges, few edges. So we can see here is James Rodriguez and Real Madrid. So we have an edge between him, which is logical as James Rodriguez plays for Real Madrid. We also have James Rodriguez connected to CM1 Real Madrid, which is center mid 1 Real Madrid. So he plays for center mid position, and it's logical to have an edge between him. So we have James Rodriguez connected to Tony Cruz, who is his teammate, and he plays as center mid 2. So we have an edge between James Rodriguez and center mid 2. So it's clear that James Rodriguez is connected to his teammate as well as the position of his teammate. And this connection is done according to the formation of the team. So let's see, there are some generic positions which are in every formation. So let's say goalkeeper, we have goalkeeper in any formation, it does not matter. We also have center mid. We should have at least one center mid, so we have center mid over here. So there are some generic positions and we can connect them as given here. So we can connect the generic positions between two different teams, and we can perform some random walks over here. So we have center mid 1, center back, and goalkeeper 1. So this is a random walk. Other one is center mid 1, center back 1, and goalkeeper 1. So we have some random walks, and that creates the connection between the different positions. So in this way, we have intra-team connections and also inter-team connections. And we can execute node to vec on the following. So node to vec takes network x dot graph as an instance, and as we have seen that the graphs we have made are an instance of network x dot graph instance. We pass this graph instance into node to vec function. We can specify the dimensions, walk length, number of walks while creating the object. We use the dot fit function to learn the embeddings, and the dot fit function returns word to vec instance, which is the learned feature embedding. Let's see some results on how the similarity between the feature embeddings and do they really make sense. We have Real Madrid over here. So Real Madrid is a team name, and we have created a node in the name of Real Madrid. So let's see which are the most similar nodes to the Real Madrid team. So if you think logically, the team members in the team should be the most closest to the team name. So as we can see, all these people are from Real Madrid. Cristiano Ronaldo is currently in Juventus, but this data set is from 2017 when he was in Real Madrid. Let's say the similarity according to the node of position. So we have right wing as a position, and let's see who are closer to it. So all these players are actually right wingers from different teams and different football clubs. So it is logical that a position would give players playing at the similar position in different clubs, or at worst, it can give the nearby positions according to the formation. Let's say one more position, let's say goalkeeper. So when we see goalkeeper, here we have all the goalkeepers except David Luiz. He is center back, but according to the formation, center back, which falls in the defender position, is actually near to the goalkeeper position, and it makes sense to have this similarity between these two. So now we have seen the results, and let's see. We have used the Node2Vec base, the paper we have implemented and read. It focuses mainly on two prediction tasks. It focuses on a multi-level classification task where every node is assigned one class or more than one class. So we can have multi-class. A node can be mm, assigned to multiple classes. We the paper also uses it for link prediction, where we predict if the edge between the two node exists or not, given any two nodes. Here we have a graphical representation of where the Node2Vec is used in the industry. So mostly it's used for link prediction, and the secondly it's used for node classification, and thirdly it's used for recommendation system. These two form 50% of the applications of Node2Vec. Other than that, we have graph embeddings, knowledge graphs, graph representation learning, dimensionality reduction, unsupervised representation learning, and knowledge graph embeddings. And we have other applications too. So these are few applications. To conclude, we use Node2Vec for acquiring knowledge and feature learning in the network. Using Node2Vec, we use search-based optimization problem. As explained by Nandini, we can see how the random walks and searching works, and how we can control using the parameters P and Q. So the random walks and the search strategy can be controlled by controlling P and Q parameters. In practically, Node2Vec is scalable and robust to perturbations. If we have a few noise in the data, so that Node2Vec is robust to such perturbations. The Node2Vec also provides task-independent representation of complex networks. So let's say we have link prediction task or classification task. So for both this, it will provide the same representation of the nodes. This is specifically helpful in transfer learning, or we can have a universal representation for different tasks. So we do not have to train models differently for different tasks. The future of this Node2Vec, we can use it as heterogeneous information networks and signed edge networks. So we can use in these applications. Node2Vec representation can be used for as building blocks for deep learning on graphs. So as we know, deep learning can be used on graphs as well. But if we have a compact representation like Node2Vec, and we learn the features already using the Node2Vec, so it will be easy for deep learning to be applied on the learned feature representations. These are the references that we had, and these will be shared with the slide. So that's all for the Node2Vec, and thank you.